Hello.
Oh, damn. Like 25 streams? That's impressive. The girly friend arrives. The girly friend has been what got here before you did, Wild Saber. She been here the whole time. Hey, Artemis. Good to see you. All right, moving into here. Yay, stream streak. 25 stream streak achieved by Artemis Snap, which is fantastic. And then 10 mugs. The next minute is just like 45 stream streak. just just jumping in there, just being like, yeah, I can do this. I reckon there's a few people here, so like, let's do one of these. There's still like another 6 minutes to. There's another 6 minutes to go. So we'll just have like this little mini game pop up. The real fun on summoning a demon or translation nonsense. This is an interesting one. Oh, I got it now. Yep, Tanmuk's got it. So now Tanmux and Wild Saber are out of it. Man, they think they're gonna make a lot of words out of pancake. Hey there, Omega. Welcome, welcome. Hopefully you're doing all right. Just doing the needful and getting the blah 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 blah. Getting the whole announcing stream thingy-majiggy and all that. So how's Kane? Interesting. Yeah, Kane with a K. I think it doesn't like proper nouns like Kane. Kane with the K. It definitely was fine with Kane with a C though. Color Me Curious is. No, it isn't. Hi there, Ruby. Welcome, welcome. All right, we just got to the goal for getting past the first level. Good on all of you. Dun, 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 dun. All right, I can hide this. Oh, that's good. All right, so we were able to get through to the next level. That's good. That's good. I love how Ruby did the same thing as Wild Saber of doing Kane with a capital K. Hope you're all doing well. I'm doing about as good as I can be. We are approaching into the Friday night, which is actually really good. Let's do another round while I get my nonsense sorted. I don't need this. I need... Where are you? I need this. I don't know how you're able to get an eye from there. A double F? That's the interesting thing. Buff. Buff, loaf, luff, foul. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there is a 7-letter word. Oh, I think I know what it is. I know what the 7-word is. I know what the 7-letter word is. It's an animal. Yay, there we go. Artemis has got it. She's so smart. Yeah. Oh my gosh, they've been adding more things to the Game Pass. Slowly but surely. Am I going to play all these things? Probably not everything under the sun, but it is definitely tempting to go to things like Disco Elysium or Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Dice a Million, I do want to have a look at, though. There's all these games that I want to play, but then comes the problem of, like, I work all the time, and So we got, oh, okay, 7 out of 14. We just got through to it. So Artemis got to the top of level 2, but she didn't get general ranking over. Oh, but it's tied. The general ranking is tied up between Tanmux and Artemis. Okay, okay. Nice. Hi there, Shinzo. Welcome, welcome. Hopefully you're doing all right. All right, one last round. One last round, and then we'll go into the just chatting section. And I just realized I forgot to connect my whatsamahoozies. Hang on a second. All right, hopefully that works. I have no idea how whiskey 10 mucks. How in the world did you get whiskey right at the get-go? Eski's not a real word. I'm sorry, Artemis. That's a slang. I wish Eski was like a proper word, but no, it ain't. My body hurts from work. Oh, I feel you, Shinzo. I feel you that in that regard. So it's annoying that we have to like damage ourselves for our job. It's annoying that that is the case. Dun dun dun. Partner EA detected and able to unlock exclusive install manage. I'll do that later. Claim these. 4 games discovered on your PC. Oh, cool. You've discovered more things. Alrighty. Resize that. Alright. This window, I'm gonna throw you up here. Alright, 91 out of 97. Man, oh, I guess we get a lot of points because of the use of the K. So... Keys, cash. I don't know if cash is a real word. Way? No, Vol. Cookie is not. They're waiting for me to get over to my scream. As Eski is a real word. Fight me. No, I'm not gonna fight you. All right, let's see. And 10 Mux secures the lead with 97 stars over Artemis's 91, with Wild Saber picking up the rear with 60 points. Honestly, good going. Good going there. Also, hi. Now we can properly get started. Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Cookie for Vol. Here's your cookie, Vol. Happy Friday for all of yous. Happy Friday. I hope everyone is gonna have a really good start to their weekend. I have made it through another week of work. Yay! My first week back from work. And I didn't feel absolutely miserable. Happy Friday. Friday works. Just watching Witch Hat Ulterior animate. So good. Great anime. So watch to scratch your Magus Bride itch. I got started on Magus Bride like years ago, but never got around to like properly finishing it. It's about a little girl, young girl who loves magic that discovers blah 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 that discovers secrets to casting magic only to cause tragedy, but in order to fix her mistake, she becomes a witch. Ah. Sounds like Madoka Magica in a little way, where it's like, you know, magical girl, like, deconstruction and such like that. 16% himbo, not too bad. It's better than last time. But yeah, where was I in my train of thought? Oh yeah! Back on Wednesday, we went through so much of Gears of War 3. Like, so much of it. Like, and I thought I honestly would have been able to like get to the proper end of Gears of War 3 in that game, but then my PC decided to have like a full-blown crash out. Like, I didn't properly explain it when I was on my there isn't an exclamation point for the maid outfit, Vol. You're gonna have to pony up bits for that. So yeah. So during the last stream, also it's not too hot or anything like that. So yeah, so apparently my PC decided to have the Explorer.exe program decide to have a hard fault. No joke. The program that's like all about, you know, managing File Explorer, the desktop, and all that kind of nonsense, all of it decided to just go kaput. And like the Explorer exe doesn't it doesn't, like, you know, if it crashes, ideally it just restarts, but for whatever reason this thing was like frozen solid. So my mouse wasn't working, my keyboard wasn't working. Some of the programs could still work, but it seemed like anything that was trying to do like 3D generation or rendering onto the screens, none of that worked. So at best, I had like a little bit of audio indication of like what things were doing, and then, you know, I could see chat. That was it. That's all I got. I wasn't able to, you know, manipulate my Zebra in any sort of way. I wasn't able to save my work and do a clean, like, shutdown. The only way it got shut down was I had to press the button on the top of my PC. Thankfully, because I pressed the button on that PC, it did do a bit more of a graceful shutdown than if I just held it down for, like, you know, shit tons amount of time. But yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the, also, why in the world is this thing, like, so... Let me just shrink you down. There we go. And then, there we go. That should be a bit... Sorry, I'm just, like, resizing, like, some different panels and what have you. There we go, and then resize... Dunk. Actually, no, that's not the right width. I'm just there. All right, that's a good width. And then scene transition. Let's shrink you down to like that width. There we go. Alrighty. Sorry, there we go. So yeah, so I was like, I have like the stream disconnection protection thing, but that only lasts about as long as, I want to say 60 to 90 seconds. Like, the disconnection protection doesn't, it doesn't last forever because, you know, the whole point, disconnect protection. Let me just have a double check of the documentation on it and such like that, because it isn't forever. It is only for like a set period of time, you know, because Twitch doesn't want to be holding on to people's, like, disconnected stuff for like more than like a couple minutes at best. Yeah, so viewers will see this message for up to 90 seconds while you troubleshoot and reconnect. The recorded vol will be continuous to ensure the best viewing experience. You can enable this connect. So yeah, so look what happens if I don't reconnect with 90 seconds. You have 90 seconds to reconnect while the slate appears. If you don't reconnect in that time, your stream will end as normal. So yeah. So 90 seconds was the most amount of time. And unfortunately, it took my PC more than 90 seconds in order to shut down, start back up again, sign me in, and then have enough of the desktop present for me to be able to open up OBS and start, you know, getting the things running again. So by the time I got back up and running on Wednesday, you know, the stream had already, like, you know, disconnected and fully and all that kind of nonsense. And I wasn't really interested in doing like a 4-hour stream, like, VOD, and then having it start back up again and, you know, get through the last of it in like however long amount of time it would have taken. I don't know. It was after 4 hours of streaming and having my PC like just have like a huge kaput moment that night, I didn't want to test fate. I didn't want to, like, you know, play for like a super serious amount of long time in an attempt to like get to the end of it and then, you know, have terrible sleep for work the next day and what have you. So it is what it is. Maybe other games in the future I might do that, but, you know, it wasn't. Oh gosh, what is up? All right, something I need to give myself is a massage, like the right like trap of my neck. I think because I've been like tilting my neck to the left all this time, like when I was at my PC at work, it's deciding to be like extra fucky with me. So I'm gonna have to be extra particular about how I sit for like PC and such, which is gonna be really annoying because my monitor for holding chat and such like that is over on my fucking left like this. And I can just feel the muscle like just over on the... the tracking doesn't go up to my neck, unfortunately, so I can't like point to the part that my neck is just like, this is not fun. So, you're just gonna have to take my word for it. Ugh, excuse me. Oh, head's going fishing. Ugh. I will need to pause the music in the background. There we go. Good old Epic Games. Yep, everything is displaying. That's exactly what we want. Oh! Let me just crack open this cold one. Now, hopefully, because my session was, like, in the cloud and what have you, hopefully I don't have that much progress lost. Hey, Zeebs, how is your himbo rate today? Immeasurable. There is no equivalent himbo, according to my robot. You will never be able to get a true rating of my himboism. Sorry, excuse me, I just had to exhale. There will be no means of being able to acquire it. Ooh, new updates on my stats. Yay, level 6. Passed under the maelstrom and found Azura. Launch the sub. Okay, so those are all the, like, different, you know, achievements of, you know, getting through the story and what have you. Humor me? Fine. You want to be humored? Here we go. Ding ding dong. GrantZeebs. Look at this. See? Errors out. It's just infinite himboism. Blew up the Leviathan, grabbed a locust, thingy-majiggy, safely arrived, defend, found ammo, woke up from a bad dream. Okay, so it looks like... Yeah, it looks like there's only 2 more chapters to go before we get to, like, the end of the campaign, so... And then there's different kinds of kills? Yeah, so we don't really have... So, okay, so we've unlocked use, we've unlocked use. And then we've gotten different dog tags and what have you. Didn't get that much here. Got these 2 things. Just got that. And then Act 5, we missed all that. So Threshold, Ascension... Phoenix's research, and another recovered dog tag. Alright. So yeah, really not much further for us to go in this one. It's been alright. It's been an alright game. I don't know, Xbox just had like a lot of good games in the 3s. Like Halo 3, Gears of War 3. These guys are annoying to deal with, quite frankly.
Figures.
Damn it. Just let me deal. God damn you. Anya, are you gonna revive me? Nope, you're gonna...
Nice! Thanks!
There we are. Remember, kids, to goon irresponsibly. We ain't gonna be gooning irresponsibly, okay?
Got one. Come on, take that thing out. We've got reinforcements waiting.
There we go.
Mauler!
Fire in the hole!
Alrighty, let me go and get that guy. Go, 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 go. Blast it! Yeah! Gotcha.
I dare you.
Ow, fuck. There we go. Get fucked, good sir.
To all call signs. You're clear to land.
Clear.
Let's get rid of this thing.
Push the siege beat. I don't know. The siege beach could have been pretty cool. Oh, yeah. Dink. Siege beast just gets no say in the matter.
That's the last one.
Oh!
Shit. Phoenix to Trescue. The stalks have shown up. You got a visual on us?
They're appearing everywhere, Phoenix. Stand by. We are diverting a Raven to your position. Just get your father's weapon deployed and finish this.
Okay, run! Get to the building now!
Oh! Okay, there's way more. Alright. Hey, Jack.
Can I ask how, the bomb works? Didn't my father tell you that?
No. Dom. I just want to know.
Let's just get through this first.
You're probably not gonna get a lot of info from Macho Men about emotional moments.
Will you look at this place? I really thought I knew Prescott. It makes me sick to think he had this trillion-dollar panic room all those years while we were starving and dying.
But he stayed with us all that time. I don't get it.
Probably because this... Oop.
What the hell?
Valued citizens of Azura, it is with profound sadness that we inform you the passing of Dr. Gabriella Ornar, who died peacefully in her apartment yesterday. She was 78 years old, a dear friend and colleague. Gabriella's work was vital to the collective efforts of this community. She will be missed, and her sacrifice will not be forgotten. We would like to remind everyone that grief counseling is available 26 hours a day. A memorial service in Dr. Ornar's honor will be held tomorrow, 1900 hours, in the West Library. A variety of rare teas and delicious pastries will be served. Who? What research was she providing? So this is where all the scientists were. Like, they're all lapping up in extra luxury, so that raises the question, like, were the scientists the good guys in this scenario, or did they fuck something up? And nah, so I can't do anything about that. Is there anything? Oop. Yeah, I realize there's a call button there, but give me a minute as I, like, explore and see whether or not there's, like, anything else of... Fire grenades. Boom shot. I will grab that. So, yeah, because, like, back in World War II and such like that, high-ranking, peeps on both sides of the war would be sent to prison camps and shit.
We're all infected with this lambent shit?
Back in World War II, like, high-ranking individuals from, like, both the Nazi Axis powers and the Allied powers, when they went to prison camps and such, they weren't put into, like, extra heavy poverty situations. They were actually put into some rather establishments and what have you. So, for instance, like, you know the Great Escape? that like super like prison something or rather, where like the Americans, the British, and all them were like trying to escape from and such. What they don't mention being in that prison was a lot of luxurious stuff. Like they had spa, swimming pools, they had a movie theater, there was all sorts of stuff. Like the whole premise as to why they had all these like luxurious things in the prisons was that, number one, you know, they wanted to put them in a false sense, a gilded cage, as Wild Saber said. Yeah, sounds like scientists were in a gilded cage. They were in luxury, but prisoners. So with the gilded cage, it was meant to sort of, you know, try and prevent them from wanting to leave was the first problem. The second thing was by putting them in a false sense of security in the, you know, the gilded cage and what have you, any information that the higher ranking people had could accidentally be leaked in conversation, because it wasn't enough that these places were, you know, heavily, you know, luxurious for the prisoners, but that they were easily easily able to be
like tapped in and observed and all that kind of nonsense. Thank you for the hyper himbo Brazilian duchy. So yeah, so I'm wondering if that's the reason why these scientists were in like a lap of luxury. Not in a case of like, oh, the elites are extra luxurious, but more of a case of the scientists did something fucky, and in an attempt to not have them do, you know, something worse, they then got them like in this kind of, you know, prison sort of area.
Everything and everyone. Emulsion's a parasitic life form.
God damn. The friggin' miracle fuel's alive. Can he really kill it all?
Hey, we came all this way for Marcus's dad. Show some goddamn faith.
It's very likely that the emulsion like thing that they're talking about, the parasitic, we're most likely gonna like neuter it. So if Phoenix's father is like smart, he'll probably keep it as like
You're not
neutered
gonna
oil
die,
or something.
Baird. Nobody else is gonna die. Has your dad tested this bomb thing, Marcus? Can we kill this goddamn noise? Okay, Faith. Yeah, got it.
Here we go, here we go. I'm honestly surprised we haven't had like any humans like crop up and trying to attack us or anything like that. You think there would be at least one in this like luxury hotel situation. But so far, nothing. Oh. There's
Dad,
one.
we're here. We're just working out how to bypass this firefight.
I can hear it, Marcus. And Mira's tracking you. Watch your back.
Yeah, she's been on our asses the whole way. Stand by.
Good!
Bring it on.
Order!
Revive me!
Fire in the hole!
Come on, shitbag, what are you doing? I'll take those.
Armicantes!
Nice!
Walking sack of shit!
There I go!
Just gets blown to bits. Nice. I'm half expecting to see one of the. Oh. Yeah! There we go. Oh, that's a boom. Shit.
Nice!
Alright, so it takes like 2 shots to take them on. Easy.
Order!
No.
Incoming!
That was easy. It was a lot easier than the last few things I've had to deal with, honestly. Oh. Alright, so we got incendiary grenades. Ooh.
We've got stocks coming up! Jack, rip that door while we hold them off!
Shoot the car!
Incoming stop! Conquer!
I need ammo.
Oh, wow, okay. He just...
Use a hand.
Incoming!
Yeah, here, catch this!
Shit, it's mutating!
Yeah, I see it mutating. Give me a minute to... Oh, goddamn!
Get up!
Another deck glowing!
Oop. Probably should have been mindful of the dead glowies. Or the live glowies that are over there.
Revive me!
Shoot the pods!
Thanks!
Louis mutating!
Come on!
Alright. We survived that. Oh, he's not even through the first bit. God damn it.
Got one! That's the last of them. Dad, we're on our way up. Come on, get
And
inside
instantly
and
swapped to the
barricade the
chainsaw again.
doors. Look, if we've all got a dose of this glowy emulsion, isn't your dad's bomb or whatever going to affect us too? You know, fatally? You think he'd risk that?
It will work. Don't worry. And trust me, Corporal Baird. I've tested it.
That's not as reassuring as he thinks it is.
Lock the door! Come on, quick! That won't stop us, Doc. It'll just piss off the drudges for a few minutes. Well, that'll have to do. Dad, we're in. The Lambent are right behind us. Where's your lab?
On the top floor. Watch out for Queen Mira, Marcus. She's desperate.
Dad, what's Mira up to? In your message, you said she doesn't realize you can't save the Locust.
This is a last stand for the Locust, too, Marcus. My device will kill the emulsion, but it'll harm the Locust, too.
I'm not seeing the downside here.
I needed more time. Just like E-Day.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Hold on. E-Day? What the hell is he talking about?
I'm not sure we want to know.
Crazy books. Is there anything for me to pick up here before we try heading up to the top of the tower? Doesn't look good. Plus, I need to swap this thing for a different weapon entirely.
Quiet, people. Grub's up ahead.
Marcus, we ain't sneaking past them, are we? We gotta score to settle.
Yeah, we have.
Surprise, bitches! We back!
Don't make our way slowly further up, so then that way we can grab the cool gear.
Next! Nice!
Yeah, here, catch this.
Alright, pick up the boom shot, get more ammo of the boom shot. Swap the Retro Lancer for the normal Lancer. Because the Retro Lancer is just not as accurate as fuck. You got a bad feeling about it? Ooh. What's the worst that could happen? We climb up the top of a tower. Now we fire off the MacGuffin.
The Lambent are gonna breach the door soon, Marcus.
Let's worry about the grubs first.
There we go.
Nothing but bits. Who's next?
Here we go. Oops. Okay, point blank is not.
Throwing frag.
Okay, that frag was very effective.
Dead enough to me.
Alrighty. More Lancer ammo, thank you.
Up there! Reaver!
Oh, come on! That was like 2 shots right in its face with explosives. You're telling me explosions aren't gonna be strong?
Quiet, people. Grubs up ahead.
Marcus, we ain't sneaking past them, are we? We got a score to settle.
Yeah, we have.
Surprise, bitches! We back!
Fire in the hole!
Yeah, which one of you freaks is next?
Gotcha.
Yeah, you're kinda dead.
Alright, where's the other boom thingy?
This'll do.
Boom shot. And swap that to the Lancer.
Lock and load.
Is there any other weaponry here? In the halfway alcove? No, there isn't. Alright. Up the stairs we go once again. Trying not to die.
The Lambent are gonna breach the door soon, Marcus.
Let's worry about the grubs first. Lockdown! Guard!
Got one!
Oh yeah! Damn! Got one!
Yes, I'm using a pistol just so I can preserve the AR ammunition. And then...
Damn!
This'll do.
Up there! Reaver!
Okay, could you not have me miss so much, please? That would be greatly appreciated. Alright, I'll use the torque bow, I suppose. Just give me a minute to... Torque bow ammo, thank you. And more torque bow ammo. Alright. Ooh, ammo crate, yes please. Frag grenades, yes please. Reach the top of the tower. Alright, who is still alive causing me problems, causing me grief? Who's stuck? It sounds like someone is stuck elsewhere because of an explosion or something. Come on, let's go. So here's the elevator button, but it won't let me get to the elevator button for whatever reason. So then the next question is... Is it because someone's, like, up here? Nah. Alright, reload last checkpoint, because for whatever reason... someone got stuck!
Quiet, people. Grub's up ahead.
Marcus, we ain't sneaking past them, are we? We gotta score to settle.
Yeah, we have.
Surprise, bitches! We back!
Fire in the hole!
Yep. Yep.
Got one.
There we go. Lancer. Ammunition for the hammer burst. I'll keep the hammer burst, actually, because, like, apparently whatever boom shot I used was causing problems.
The Lambent are gonna breach the door soon, Marcus.
Let's worry about the grubs first. Bloodmouth! Throwing flag!
Which one of you freaks is next? Fire in the hole!
Actually, let's try the torque bow here.
Wild_Saber1337 paid me to say the story you are about to hear has been told before, a lot, and now we will tell it again, but
differently. Here we go. Ah! Bastards! Damn it! Fuck you. I wanted to get like a melee takedown with a torque bow to see if it did anything different, but...
Up ahead. Marcus, we ain't sneaking past them, are we? We gotta score to settle.
Yeah, we have.
Surprise, bitches! We back!
Go.
Who's next?
Come on.
This'll do.
Oh, no. Lancer. Put that Lancer. Get more ammo of the boom shot. More ammo of the Lancer, which is good.
The Lambent are gonna breach the door soon, Marcus.
Let's worry about the grubs first. Bloodmouth! Come on!
Alright, let's not die here, please.
Find the hole!
Oh! Never mind, that didn't... You got greedy. Yeah, I guess I got greedy.
Up there! Reaver!
Alrighty.
Looks like the only way up.
I don't see the elevator cars. Must be at the top.
Alright. Now we're able to go through the progression better.
Who they build this for anyway?
It's a frickin' palace. Thanks, Prescott. Good use of my taxes.
Kind of hilarious that in like this grim dark sci-fi, it's like, yep, tax is still a thing.
Shit. Baird, fix this.
Marcus, I'm responsible for so many deaths. This is where I can put some things right.
You didn't start this war. You're ending it.
There was a time when I thought I could talk our way out of it.
What happens when you set off your glowy killer, Professor? Are we gonna feel anything?
That depends on how far the emulsion has colonized your cells, Damon. Do you have a fever? Intense muscle pain?
No.
Then you'll be fine.
Or not so fine, maybe.
Stopping him from just activating the thing. But...
God damn it, Jack! Where are those elevators?
Taking their own sweet time.
It'll be slow going up, too. Just saying.
Incoming start!
Here comes some more!
Going flag!
Get rid of the stocks real quick so they don't resurrect more people.
Rocket!
now you pissed it off. Infected piece of shit.
Why is there more infectious thoughts around?
Oh, yeah.
Target the pod!
Yeah, that's what I've been doing, lady. It's just, you know, I'm running out of ammo.
Nice.
Yep.
Trojans!
Lambent! Frag out!
Hey, the lifts are here! Let's go!
Alright.
Split up, just in case!
Just in case.
Hey, you realize where all that sculpture and arty shit came from?
No, where?
Gonna tell me. The National Museum of Ephyra. Prescott saved friggin' statues instead of us, asshole. Nice to feel valued. Come on, brass them up! Keep them off the lifts!
Oh, I can't. Okay, never mind.
Nice! I need ammo.
Nowhere to run now.
Too late to take the stairs.
Look out!
Oh, god damn it. Okay, maybe we'll have to take the stairs. Or, no, we just regroup with our buddies.
Jump, get to the other lift!
Oh, God. Nearly missed it.
You two okay up there?
Yeah, we're fine.
Yeah. Do, do, do.
Anya, you okay?
Do, do,
I'm fine. Don't worry.
do, do, do.
Cole, we're on the floor above you.
On our way up, Marcus.
Guard!
Cantus. Tickers! I'm out.
Yeah. Just grinding them down together. More.
This'll do.
Alright. Next floor. Let's go.
Dad, we're still a couple of floors below you.
I can hear the locusts right outside my door. They're waiting for you.
I won't disappoint them then. Nice.
Oh, god damn it. Alright, that's the What's-a-Mahoozy Queen's,
Marcus Phoenix.
There we go.
What a loyal son you are. But I can't let you release your father.
Come on, keep heading upstairs.
Thanks, bitch.
Oh my god! Michael McCaw! Thank you for the raid! Oh shit!
Gave your father nearly 20
Welcome!
years to deal
Welcome, Raiders! My name is Grant. I'm a variety himbo streamer going through games of nostalgia that I haven't had the opportunity of playing myself. Welcome! How is Ace Attorney?
Right? Don't listen to that bitch! Get upstairs! Split up! We need covering fire!
Hello!
Uh-oh.
God damn, my ass feels medium rare now.
Okay, run! Head for the stairs!
Oh. Nope, don't get stuck on the furniture. Let's go. Hello, hope your stream's going good. It's going. I'm trying not to die right now, as we're like running up a set of stairs. There we go, top floor. You're finding so many cool streamers. You beat on 3 raid streaks since you woke up? Damn, Silver Wobble. Nice, nice.
A right to live, a right to this world. Your father must complete his task.
Well, that's one thing we agree on.
Ugh.
Hey, look up there. Splat.
You want to bring down the roof?
No, just the counterweight. See the cables? Good call. Come on, they've got to be anchored nearby. It'll make the building unstable. Beats being roasted.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Ace Attorney was great. Good to hear. Good to hear.
Revive me!
Dig in, baby. Going into overtime. Could use a hand.
Oh!
Nice.
There we go. All right, that's 1 cable.
1 down, 2 to go.
Do you think she would have caught on to the fact that, like, you know... Alright, that's cable number 2. Is the voice actor for this guy Jake the dog? Yes. This is, probably, like, one of the most popular VAs. He was also, the VA for Joker in Batman Under the Red Hood, so... Yeah.
Can we finish her off? Where's the queen?
I can't see!
Ah, shit! Get to the lift, now!
Are the lifts still gonna work if we don't have the counterweights? Alright, never mind. Never mind.
Out of ammo.
Marcus, are you all right? What happened?
We ran into Mira. Problem solved. We're on our way.
Solved? You mean dead?
That was the idea, Dad. Yeah.
Is he gonna tell us that, like, she was like a love interest for him or something?
Don't waste your sympathy. Are the grubs still outside your lab?
Yes, they'll be covering the elevators too. Find another route. There's a service hatch in the shaft somewhere.
We're looking. Jack, slow the lift. That's it, Jack. Stop the lift.
Alright, here we go.
Out of ammo. Okay, I really need to know what Mira was yapping about. She knew your dad before E-Day? How? I mean, she looks human. Did she join the Locust Country Club for shits and giggles or something?
Who knows?
Bitch was just jerking his chain, Barrett.
Maybe not.
There we go. Alright.
This'll do.
Lancer ammo, and swap the Lancer for the Hammer Burst. Alright, Hammer Burst is full ammo. Actually, no, fuck it. Let's go for the Retro Lancer. And then... Ooh! Collectible here. We have not been collecting a lot of those collectibles, but it's cool that we found them. But yeah, we're approaching the end of Gears of War 3, by the by. I've been going through Gears of War over the last, like, few streams. So, like, this one I got started this week. So, it takes, like, you know, maybe 2 or 3 streams to get through Gears of War. So, you know, 8 hours-ish.
Go!
Guess who, motherfucker?
Dad's in here somewhere. Dad, we're on your floor now.
Look for the door with the external power switch.
Nice. Okay, hang tight. Dad, they've got a turret outside your lab. Find some cover.
And Alright. Oh, frag grenades. I need those. I'll need those frag grenades. Grab you for the ammunition. Ooh, yes, please, for the one shot. Although, what the fuck did I just do with that weapon? I accidentally, like, clipped it through something. It had a bit of a panic, and now it's gone. That's not great. Unless did it spawn?
Okay. Sweet.
Yeah, it probably got missing. That's annoying. I had a cool one-shot weapon, and then I had it clip through the environment and lost it entirely. Real shame. It may be my internet or having too many tabs or isn't loading for me, I don't know. Who knows? I haven't done like any...
We're outside your lab, Dad. Okay, let's follow the wires on the floor. There'll be more grubs waiting at the...
okay. So we need to disable the...
I need ammo.
I put an explosion on him and he died right in front of me. That's a shame. Too many tabs was the issue? Ah, all good, all good. So, silver. Let's go this way instead.
Die, hominid!
Guards!
Right!
Medic!
Fire in the hole!
So... Nice!
There we go. That wasn't so hard that time. Yeah. Disable.
One lock down, Dad. One more to go.
Ooh, I can grab the ammo from the mulcher. Nice. Ah, the maximum ammo was like 200. Darn. Okay. Okay. Silver or Sibber? I get both a lot. Ah, okay. Oh, wait. Did I read it wrong? No, Silver. Sibbler. Cool.
Guards! Next! Throwing frag!
Oh, look, the glass is just, like, falling over and over again. Alright. That should disable the systems.
That's 2, Dad. We're heading back.
What do you think are the chances we're gonna, like, have someone come up from behind us and we have to use the turret? Damn, was really hoping. Kinda right? Think Silbor. Oh, Silbor. Silbor. Alright. Also, gosh, right side of my neck, still sore. Annoying. Alright, here we go.
Marcus, Anya. It's good to see you again.
That's the voice of the mentor in Assassin's Creed 1.
I'm so sorry about Dom.
Hard to know where to begin, Dad.
Yes. I always wondered what I'd say to you if I ever saw you again. But we always run out of time. Just my insurance. It won't work without command keys. The same failsafe I designed into the Hammer of Dawn. I'm an old hand at mass destruction, aren't I? I've had years to think things over, Marcus. You and Anya, all of you, live your lives to the fullest when this is over. Promise me you'll all do that. No regrets, no looking back.
Yeah, sure, Dad. We better get going.
If the emulsion hadn't reached a critical stage, I might have found a way to save the Locust as well. And they could have gone back underground.
Tell me you don't feel sorry for them.
Responsible, not sorry. It's my fault they're here, Marcus. I failed to stop the emulsion spreading all those years ago. It drove the Locust out of their warrens. I tried to persuade Mira to keep her people underground, but they couldn't. So then...
Wait. Did I hear right? The government knew E-Day was coming, and none of you bothered to warn us?
No, just me. Even Prescott didn't know. Not until much later.
Oh.
I had so many ideas. Just too little time.
Dad, stop this. Come on. Whoa. What else don't we know?
You're a scientific man. Look at this later and try to understand what I wanted to do and what I had to do.
Yo, less talking, more walking.
Are we gonna have Adam Phoenix alive after all this to explain even further? I don't know. Let's see, anything to pick up? Yes, there is. At the time of its discovery, there was no reason to believe that emulsion was a living organism. It exhibited no observable characteristics typical of life, no response to stimuli, no apparent method of reproduction, and no metabolic process. It has since become clear that this is not the case. Through our examinations were sound, the assumptions upon which they were based, our now definition of life, were not. It is very definitely alive, mutagenic, and highly invasive. Viewed in that light, emulsions exhibit characteristics that resemble the structure and life cycle of many fungi. The bulk of the organism, in liquid form, is underground, like a mycelium. The evidence of its existence that we have begun to observe on the surface in the form of stalks is the equivalent of fruiting bodies. Its periodic vapor-like emissions are perhaps best likened to spores. Its behavior is parasitic yet simultaneously viral. It not only colonizes its hosts, it also reproduces in the host at the cellular level. Its life cycle appears to be a long period of dormancy followed by accelerated activity before maturation, but I cannot establish whether it has existed on Sera since the first origins of life, or if it somehow developed or was introduced during human history. A successful parasite does not kill its host. Emulsion does. It may be inept, but I suspect the death of its host organisms, which appear to be every living thing on Sera, plant or animal, is part of its reproductive strategy, not an unfortunate side effect. Its high energy content may be part of that. Oh, so it's like the Flood. It's just a more hardcore version of the Flood, then. Did you get out of the way, Anya? You're kind of... Good hit.
Did you see it?
What did I... You may also know Marcus Venus from such film adventures as Time. Yeah, I already know of Jake. And like, again, like, he's a very big actor. Like, he's a very big VA. Look. So, like, yeah, Jake, Futurama, Waka, and Kamari, Ronzo, and Final Fantasy X, X2, various voices for Destiny, like Banshee 40. Yeah, like, hearing this man's voice is like catching out Troy Baker or like Christopher Uzi, the voice of Vegeta. Like, this man has been in a lot of things. He is not a throwaway actor.
Just keep your head down.
He's been in a lot.
Shoot the pod! Next!
Oh yeah, I can hear the hopeful music in the background. Like, this guy's a big name. I think it's John DiMaggio? I'll need to double check that.
Front frag! Scratch one glowing!
There we go.
Drudges!
There we are.
Next!
There we are. Alright. Reload the Lancer. Alright. So are we just going back out the way we came in? Or are we taking... Nope, we're taking the elevator. Nice. He was the voice in The Emperor of Mulan. John DiMaggio, thank you.
It's going to take a while to activate the device.
Don't worry, we'll hold them off.
Oh, we're on the rooftop? Okay.
Tragic! Nice!
There we go.
That all you got?
Where's the other one? Oh, hi there, Dad. There we go.
I got your back! Hey, it's Carmine!
Oh, Carmine!
has arrived!
I thought, quite honestly, I thought we were going to see this Carmine far more in Gears of War 3 than we did. Because he was around for fucking none of it. Like, goddamn, I thought he would be like a regular companion or something like that. Not just, oh, here's an NPC at the start of the game, and quite frankly, now getting to the end of the game.
That's gonna hurt. Did you see that? I'm on fire, man!
Good for you.
Watch the head!
Let me get some ammunition, please. There we go. Is there any way into that particular building, or nah? Secure the rooftop. Cool.
Shoot the head!
There we go. There.
Cover me! I can reach the device now!
Oh, Wrath, the weird tiger thing. Yep, I know what you're talking about.
Heads up, it's me!
Maybe that's how they survived. They just were not around. Nice.
Eat dirt and die, motherfucker! Take that, you bitch!
Uh-oh.
Oh, shit! We're on fire! We're on fire! Carmine! Everyone, take that bitch down! Damn it! I thought we killed that bitch! How long is this gonna take, Dad?
I need to increase the output by stages. It'll take a while.
There we go. That's one stage done.
Okay, I'm priming the accelerator. Stand by. Marcus, the system's online and powering up. Grab the Hammer of Dawn while you can. It's the only way to do it.
Ooh. Hell yeah! Hang on, let me just find a Hammer of Dawn.
We've got enemy reinforcements!
Meow.
That's it! Now use the hammer!
There we go. That's one. Okay, it's not gonna reload that quickly, is it?
Adam! Stop this! Or I'll kill your precious son! Shut the machine down!
Ignore her, Dad. Keep going.
Come on. Seriously? Just recharge already, please.
Revive me!
Thank you, Baird.
Nice!
Come on. There we go. There we go.
Fire in the hole!
Sorry, it's split.
That hurt it! Keep it up!
Go, get more ammunition. Refill the Hammer of Dawn. Alright. Look for the shaking trees. Oh, there we go. Aim for the mouth.
Oh, yeah!
Oh!
Enemy reinforcements!
Where are they?
The accelerator's reaching target speed, Marcus. Almost there.
You leave me no choice!
Uh-oh.
Marcus, hold her off. She'll destroy the whole chamber.
We're trying! Hold on!
Adam! This ends now! Except that your species will die!
Good, it's off the tower. Now bring it down and hammer it.
Nope.
Up and at 'em. Looks dead to me.
Revive me!
It's never nap time, baby.
By Cole, thank you.
Medic!
Yeah, I was being dumb then.
Come on.
Go. Yeah! Did it! He is in the side game. That explains how they got the battleship. Okay. Oh, more stalks.
It'll be at full power soon.
Professor, you said you tested this. How?
On myself, Damon. I had to see how the emulsion developed over its life cycle. So I injected myself with it to accelerate things.
Oh my god.
Dad, we saw what it did to humans in Mercy.
And his dad's looking a lot better than the people in Mercy, to be real with you.
It started.
Let's go, Dad. This tower's too unstable now.
I'm sorry, Marcus.
He's about to fall over dying, isn't he?
It's okay. I'll carry you.
Marcus, the emulsion developed faster in me because I forced it to. I had to.
Hello.
Hi, Goldie.
Oh, shit. No. You are not going to die.
It's too late, Marcus. Every cell in my body's breaking down. And this is going to happen to every contaminated cell on Sarah. It has to.
No, goddammit, I can't lose you again.
I'm glad I was able to see you again, Marcus. Now go and live for me.
Oh no! Oh no! That is a just fucking reduced to atoms, like fucking endgame there.
Dad, no. He's gone. He's gone.
Man, it took me like an hour to get to here.
He's gone.
We're approaching the end of Gears of War 3, Goldie. We're having like all this emulsion nonsense. Oh! How the fuck are you still alive? I'm guessing, like...
Hold your fire.
I'm guessing the Locust...
So pious and moral, even now.
Is that what you think?
Your father always thought he had all the answers, but he had none. Nothing but clever ways to kill. The Hammer of Dawn, Jacinta, and now this. And his arrogance finally killed him.
Ooh! Good stab.
Feel that? That's from Dom. And everyone else you killed, you bitch.
You know, it's not that satisfying of a kill, in my opinion, because, like, all we get is, like, you know, her at the end of Gears of War 1, her voice in Gears of War 2. Like, there wasn't really, like, everyone under her, yeah, absolutely worth killing. But with her, I don't know, it just... Yay! Oh, we get a planet-side view of Sarah now. I wonder what's doing with, like, the emulsion, like, as a fuel source. Like, is it actually gonna neuter it so it's, like, can't be used for, like, power and energy? Or is it gonna do some... Or is it still gonna be useful in that regard? Well, it's destroying all our factories, so... I'm guessing that's a pretty poetic kind of end to it. Oh, look at that. Carmine lives. Good for you, Carmine. Really wish we got more missions like featuring Carmine than just, you know, Act 1 and the end of Act 5. That bandana must be a sweaty fucking mess at this point.
Marcus, whatever it takes, I'm here.
What's left on you? What have we got left now?
Tomorrow, Marcus. We finally got a tomorrow.
He survived because they had a poll and the fans voted if he would survive, and they didn't tell anyone until the game released for players to find out. Oh, so it was like a Jason Todd sort of situation where they're like, oh, does he live or does he die? Honestly, those are not good ways to decide whether a character lives or dies, quite frankly. That is not a good... Have you tried... that is not a good way to set up, like, character deaths. Would not be possible without the witty comment followed by a heartfelt expression of gratitude to friends, family, and maker.
Emotional damage.
Hi there, Blue. Welcome, welcome. We are now done with Gears of War 3. You arrived just in time. Look at this. Killed Mariah, rescued Whatsamahoozy. We completed all 5 acts on casual or normal difficulty. Recover collectibles, reach a level, complete all the campaign acts in co-op, complete all the campaign acts in 4-player co-op. Get a kill with every possible execution finisher. So there's arm rip, there's captive. Look at all these achievements that I'm not even bothering for. Excuse me. Time for you to get your ass kicked by monsters. That will be Sunday. That will be Sunday morning stream. Sunday morning we'll be going through more Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. Would you like to join, Blue? Would you like to join into Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate? Wouldn't that be cool, Blue, to go back into, like, you know, not modern Monster Hunter, but classic Monster Hunter, I will definitely ask for your help when we get up to Rajang. Because Rajang is over in Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, isn't he? Complete campaign on hardcore? I do not remember completing the campaign on hardcore. Manipulate 200 objects. Play 50 chapters. Oh no, so the star is we did it casual, then we did it on normal, so we got the 2. So now at next time we have to do it at hardcore. Play 50 chapters of arcade. Complete 20 chapters without dying. Maintain a maximum multiplier in 10 chapters of arcade. Complete all arcade chapters on casual. Number 1 in arcade 20 times. In beast, earn. Ready for the heavies ribbon 5 times. Characters. So, Call Gear, Samantha, Dizzy. Unarmored Marcus. And then Coltrane unlocked in the beta. Gears 4 time? I can... maybe. I'll be frank with you. It is very tempting, like, you know, just call... like, it is very tempting. I probably should have done this on the Wednesday night, but it's very tempting. Just, like, in order to, like, keep the VOD, like, nice and consistent, to just be like, yep, cool. We have now done with Gears of War 3... end the stream here, and we'll pick up on Gears of War 4 next week. It's very tempting to do it like that. It's very tempting to, like, you know, make it nice and clean, like, the VOD should be messed up. No. I don't like messed up VODs, okay? I'm not a fan of messing up VODs like that, okay? Standard. What's arcade? How does arcade... oh, okay, so you get to, like, pick the chapters, and then arcade has, like, a score, I'm guessing? It's your content. Credits, storage location, controller, So, yeah. Also, I'm pretty sure I don't have, I'm pretty sure I do not have, whatsamahoozies. I don't have Gears of War 4 installed, I'm sorry to say. I only have like these Gears of War games right now. So actually let me double check that actually before I gaslight you. Let me just have a look. Quit the game. And then let me just give this a charge. And then we swap from Gears of War 3 to just chatting real quick. Finished. Gears of War 3. Ding dong. Where's the music? Cue the music! A Twitch streamer of consistency and the want to do things in a certain order. Okay, you're really cool. I really respect that immensely. All good. Because, like, yeah, here's the thing is that, like, I know there are some streamers out there where they're like, oh, I'm going to be streaming for like 10 hours straight, and I'm just going to go from like one kind of game, 3 hours later, go to a different kind of game, 3 hours later, go to a different kind of game, with like a little bit of a break in between each of the game. I know there are some streamers that do that. I do not have the fortitude to do something like that. My brain would cry in trying to do a consistent, like, oh, let's do like, you know, several video games in one fucking thingamadiggies. Like, my brain would honestly cry trying to do that. I don't have that kind of fortitude with the, like, you know, I have a full-time job, and like, you know, I don't want to do a thing where, like, I like having like 3 or 4 streams a week. I like having that kind of consistency and going for like, you know, maybe 3 or 4 hours. Going for like, you know, an 8-hour long or 12-hour long stream, sure. I used to do that kind of thing, like back in the day. Like when I first started streaming, I would do like 9 to 12-hour streams during Saturdays. Like that was something I used to do, and it was insane for me to be able to go on for that long. Like I even took, like, I would just have a lunch break going off in the middle of Saturdays, and just like, you would find me like, you know, in the middle of playing Final Fantasy 14, and I would just be munching on a burger, like, you would just see my jaw just like moving all around as I was busy munching on this burger. So Nah, I do not have Gears of War 4 or Gears 5 installed on my PC, I'm sorry to say. So I'm going to have to get that going right about now. Hey, Artemis. What's she doing stealing my shirt? Let's see. So there's Gears Tactics, Gears 4, and then there's Gears 5. Wait, can I go for the Game of the Year edition? The complete Gears 5 experience in one bundle, get the celebrated campaign, the recharged multiplayer, and Hivebusters campaign expansion. Okay, yeah, I'll get that installed as well. Might as well. Because who knows, maybe like, you know, Gears of War 4 will be like a really quick thingy-madiggies. Need shirt for the shenanigans. You're kind of like that too, but with food. If I eat something sweet, then you give me like a birdie. You're going to wait until the sweet is no longer a factor in my brain because I'm not going to enjoy eating something sweet and then something salty or tangy. You can't do it. He's getting gaslit to continue. I'm getting Gears 5. So yeah, I'm getting Gears 4 installed and Gears 5 installed while I'm at it. So, but yeah, because I didn't get those installed ahead of time because I don't like doing the whole, going from like one game to the next. I don't like within the one like stream, I don't normally like going from one kind of game to another. I much rather prefer, having like, especially like for people who might review the VOD and such like that, I would much rather have like a set of consistency where it's like, oh, if I say I'm going through one kind of aim in the stream, then it's just going to be that one kind of game. Gears of War. Just give me a second. I just want to double check something. So, Gears of War 2, Gears of War 3. Following a three-way conflict between humanity, the Locust, and the... Gears of War Judgment is a spin-off prequel to the game's first title, released in 2013. And then, yep, so we then had Gears of War Ultimate Edition, which was released on 2015, 2016. Gears of War 4 follows after Gears of War 3. And then we had Gears of War 5 in 2019. Oh my god, that was 2019, damn. It was developed by Whatsamahoosies, became one of the best-selling franchises on the Xbox 360. So yeah, so Gears Judgment, Gears Pop was a mobile real-time strategy. Ugh. And then Gears Tactic is a turn-based... What in the world? They did a tactics game? In conjunction with the Coalition. What is it with, like... What is it with Xbox companies being like, oh, hey, we're going to create like we're going to create a studio and we're going to utilize elements from...
Pull the lever, Kronk.
What? Don't pull the lever?
Huh?
I wonder how someone with a himbo tag forgot to be prepared. I don't know. It's one of life's mysteries. But yeah, I don't know. Like, this is not the first time I've seen because the coalition of governments or something like that is a in-universe, like, Gears thingamadiggy. So then the company that is like, oh yeah, the Coalition is the company that manages the Gears of War shit. Following Israel is renamed in Vancouver.
Are we talking about Queers of War?
Gears of War. But yeah, so 20 released the flight simulator later that year. Was rebranded as Black Tusk.
Discord.
Huh? Bing. Oh, what the? Hang on. Oh, it's because it's Wavelength Stream. There we go. And can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Awesome, cool. And it looks like chat will be able to hear. But yeah, sorry, I'm just like looking over like this. So the Coalition, when did they name themselves the Coalition?
Hang on. Is this is for Gears, the Coalition?
Here we go. So Black Tusk was renamed to the Coalition in 2015. And that was prior to the release of Gears of War Ultimate. So yeah, so like why does Xbox do this? This isn't the first time they're like, oh hey, like, here's a studio that is holding the IP for like, this tongue-in-cheek name. Because like like Xbox has done that with where is it? Like 343 Industries or whatever the fuck it is. 343. Here we go.
Hi,
343
Snap. Also, hi,
Industries,
Silva.
which is now now it's called Halo Studio, so it's even more tongue in cheek.
Wait, they've changed to Halo Studios now? I thought they were still 343.
So 343 Industries was like existed in 2007, and then they renamed it to Halo Studios in 2024. So it was created in 2007 to oversee the franchise after the original Halo developers Bungie regained its independence from Microsoft and originally named after the character 343 Guilty Sparks. Yeah.
Okay.
So
I had no idea.
collaborated with me in Smash 3 Gears Pop and Gears Tactics in 2020. So yeah, so this is not the first time that like, you know, the studio, like a studio under Xbox was like, oh yeah, we're just going to rename you to like a tongue-in-cheek reference. It's got Big Blue Bubble. I want, and then Double Fine, Wahoo, Remedy Entertainment, Signal Studios, Azobo, Digital Reality, Smoking Gun, Other Ocean, 11-bit. But yeah, I just got done with Gears of War 3, by the by.
Yeah, I kind of see the title there, finished with Gears of War 3.
Exactly.
How'd you like the ending?
It was like, there was elements that were okay. Like, I'll be frank with you, like Gears of War just feels like like as far as like the different sci-fis we've gotten, it definitely feels like a weak sort of sci-fi entry. Like, because
Yeah.
like, you know, it doesn't have the same sort of like emotional tug as like Halo a little bit. I feel like Gears of War is in that weird kind of zone where it's like I don't think people would go into Gears of War multiplayer because Halo multiplayer, like, cause like it's a sci-fi military, like, you know, fantasy on the Xbox 360 during a time when they were probably also holding Halo. So like,
Yeah, honestly, I don't think that the Gears franchise was meant to be, you know, pulling at the heartstrings type of gameplay. It was
No.
more meant to be just macho, hoorah, rah.
Yeah, like here's the thing is that I feel like if they were trying to go for huge spectacle like Call of Duty, I don't think they did that well because the whole thing of Call of Duty, like from the World War II to the modern storyline, was that, oh, you're like sort of a quote unquote everyday, like, you know, sort of soldier and getting to be part of like, you know, these historic like onslaughts and shit like that, which was what made it
Yeah.
special in Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2, because it was like, oh, you're just like, you know, SAS, which is like, you know, crazy secret stuff, but then that you would swip over to the Rangers where, you know, cool, they're not that special forces kind of stuff, but it's like, yeah, cool, Rangers lead the way and shit. It's really cool. Whereas with Gears of War,
Yeah.
it's like, you know, you're not even on Earth. You're on like you're on an entirely different planet sci-fi wise. You are coming into this like, you know, 14 years after like, you know, shit hits the fan kind of such. And yeah, I don't know. Like it doesn't fit into the everyman like military raw of Call of Duty. It doesn't fit into the power fantasy and, you know, savior of humanity of Halo. Like it I feel like it doesn't really hit.
Yeah.
So like it's in this weird zone. Like what else has Cliff Blinsky been a part of? Is that like what else has he been responsible for? Unreal Tournament, yeah, valid, fair enough.
Yep.
Like that was like some crazy good work in terms of the multiplayer scene and such like that. I don't know if there was much of a story.
Oh, Jazz Jackrabbit. Jeez, that's a take back.
1994 and 1998. Jesus.
I remember having both of those on my 98.
I remember
then there was
Bulletstorm.
Unreal Championship 2 I had on Xbox, the original Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
What else I see? Oh, wait, he was part of Sonic for Hire?
Wait.
Where he played himself.
Where do you see that?
In filmography.
Oh, Sonic for Hire episode for Guilds of War. Oh yeah, so they're talking about Gears of War.
Yeah, I've seen most of Sonic for Hire. I didn't realize that was Cliff Blazinski.
Well, here's the thing: is that like the fact that Cliff Blazinski is also apparently in several Mega 64 skits. Like, I feel like Cliff Blazinski is like in the same sort of realm as Gabe Newell and such like that, where
Yeah.
he was like, you know, like a very like it was like sort of that, you know, era of like, oh, here are the game devs that were like approachable and doing their, you know,
Yeah.
internet fame and what have you, I would say. Whereas someone like Hideo Kojima was not in that era of internet fame. He was going into the era of, this is a man going into the cinema, like, who is getting like cinema cred and shit like that. But yeah, like
the
Bulletstorm.
the only thing is though is that Bulletstorm, I've got Bulletstorm.
I've played a little bit of it, and I will be real with you. Bulletstorm is definitely a downgrade compared to like Gears of War. And it's crazy to think that Bulletstorm came out in the same year as Gears of War 3. I honestly thought Bulletstorm was like something that would come out after the Gears of War trilogy, and it was just like they didn't know what to do.
It felt like Bulletstorm was going to be that game that was going to blend into Gears of War at one point. Like the characters were going to end up in Gears of War.
Maybe. I'd have to. Development plans,
like it wasn't it wasn't a terrible game, but it wasn't as fantastic as people had hoped.
Yeah.
I mean, it did leave room for like a possible sequel, but that never ended up happening. I think it was a pseudo sequel type thing on VR. I forget. I might be mistaking myself or something.
Nah, here's a VR version. During the 2023 MetaQuest, initially released, it was later pushed back until January 18, 2024. So there was a VR version, but I don't think there was a VR sequel.
Okay, I must have been confusing the version for a sequel.
So, according to Caps, the studio began development of Bulletstorm sequel, but was sidelined as Epic assigned PCF to work on people can fly to work on Gears of War Judgment. Became independent in 2015 following a management buyout. It retained the intellectual property rights of Bulletstorm. I don't know how to pronounce that way. Wanted the IP to have a second life, despite the fact it was not the studio's short-term goal. Added that should the studio return to the IP, they would consider ways to make it more popular.
Yeah.
That is not great. Seeing list of commercial failures in video games after, like, going through this. Like, here's the thing, is, like, how is this a commercial failure with, like, 82s, 83s, 76, like, that is, like, B minus, like, how the fuck is this seen as commercial failure in the, like, what the shit?
I don't know. Like, I think why they're calling it commercial failure is you're looking at the reviews versus how many people actually bought the game. You know, rather than
it's not listed in here as like a special like consideration.
Like, go up, you'll see a game there called Brutal Legends.
Brutal Legend, yeah. Set in the
like it's considered a cult classic now.
Following the merger, Activision declined to publish Brutal Legend. Double Fine turned to Electronic Arts as their publishing partner. Countersued each other for breach of contract, ultimately settling out of court. Was designed as an action-adventure real-time strategy game similar to Herzog Zwei. Was told by both Vivendi and Electronic Arts as the game.
I think you would actually enjoy Brutal Legends. I think it is a game that is up your alley in terms of just shutting your brain off and having some dumb fun.
Okay, so it only sold around 215,000 within the first months, making it a retail failure, though has begun work on a sequel, canceled further development. According to Tim Schafer, president and lead developer of Double Fine, 1.4 million copies of the game had been sold by February 2011. So, but yeah, like Brutal Legend apparently came out at the same time as Uncharted, Batman Arkham Asylum, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. That is a crazy fucking lineup to go up against. Where's the download at, Zeebs? Still downloading. It is like 10%.
What are you downloading?
Gears of War 4, because Wild Saber's like, we're going to go into Gears of War 4, right? And I'm like, nah, probably not. I'm
Not
using
today.
Not tonight. No, I very much was of the premise that this was probably going to be a very short stream, and I like keeping VODs consistent where it's like I go into a game and then maybe I turn into a just chatting, but I don't go from like one game to another trying to like not unless it was like a very short game where I knew I could get through like multiple games in less than 4 hours, which that's not happening
Yeah.
with this one. This one took like several streams to get through, and I don't want to muddy up the VODs by being like, oh, we finished with Gears of War 3, and then in the very same VOD go into Gears of War 4. I would much rather have separate VODs for that.
Yeah, I've sent you the link to Brutal Legends as well if you do want to pick it up.
Mm,
It
alright.
was definitely one of like Double Fine's best work. Next to that of like Psychonauts.
E.T., the extraterrestrial. Yep, that one is very famous.
You mean E.T., his extra testicle?
Coded in just 5 weeks, the 2600 game was rushed to the market for the 1982 holiday. The sales figures came nowhere near Atari's expectations, as it ordered production of 5 million copies, with many of the sold games being turned to Atari for refund by dissatisfied consumers. It became a urban legend that Atari had buried the unsold cartridges and others in a landfill, which was confirmed in 2014 when the site was allowed to be excavated, with the former Atari personnel affirming they had dumped about 800,000 cartridges after poorly selling games. And other poorly selling games.
Yeah, it wasn't just E.T. There was a bunch of games
Centipede and such.
that did not sell.
Mm-hmm.
That just ended up in landfill. And here's the funny thing. Angry Video Game Nerd, AVGN, actually did a movie that made fun of this whole thing. And he even, part of the funding for the movie, I believe, if I remember correctly, actually went into helping the people go through the landfill. Actually getting people to go and do it.
Express, Mad World, Mario and Luigi, Bowser Inside Story.
Night Wild Saber.
Night Wild Saber. Also, I just noticed, is the thing at the bottom of your screen a Keyblade? Yes, it is, because over in like in this room here. Actually, let me minimize this and let me hide the foreground stuff. Actually, hang on.
Don't put me in the void.
This and this. So yeah, so like as you can see here, it's like there's a little like random nonsense here and there. I like back when I was like a much more you know, enthusiastic streamer, like when I started like 4 years ago, I very much had the thought of any time I was gonna finish a game and such, I would go about trying to do like a 3D model or something like that to add it into my you know, to add it into this room and such. Very ambitious goal, let me be real with you. I am not a very creative person. That Keyblade took me like several hours to do, and if you like zoom in on it and such, you will find there's a lot of problematic nonsense with it. And like, let's be real, the Keyblade is probably one of the more easier things to like model and texture, as opposed to something like, oh, I don't know, like, you know, the Lancer in Gears of War, Ebony and Ivory from Devil May Cry. Like, there's so many games I've gone through now, franchise-wise, that probably would be worth trying to add onto, like, this room and such. But, you know, quite frankly, like, you know, I am not that technically prowess in Blender and such. And in the attempts of trying to do, like, 3D Blender streams and such, the fact of the matter is I would be very much just stopping what I'm doing, watching a tutorial, going back to my thing for like, you know, quick like 30 seconds of, you know, change and such, stopping what I'm doing, watching another tutorial. So it wasn't really it wasn't that good of a thank you for the Booster Pang shirt there, Code. So yeah, it wasn't it wasn't a good quality kind of stream to be going through and such like that, because like I wasn't really getting a great opportunity of like, you know, having actual skill change and such, and I was not yet at the point of like doing sculptures and such either. Because, like, sculpting would have been an entirely different way of going through, like, 3D modeling and such like that. But then I would have to do retopology and such, because I would want to, like, do renders of this room and not take, you know, an entire day to get done.
Honestly, you've done a fantastic job with it as is, Grant.
Thank you. If you have a Discord, or if you want, I can tag you on Blue Sky and show you my Keyblade if you want. You can tag me on... You can show it through me... You can tag me on Blue Sky if you want. I used to have a public Discord and such like that, but I've since like, you know, teared that all down and turned it into more of like just a private friends Discord kind of thing. Like this is one of those cases where like after streaming for like actually, yeah, I'm probably up to the 5-year mark of streaming now, like in total. Not streaming as an affiliate, but just streaming full stop. It took me like 2 months to become an affiliate. I am very slow and very bad if I ever try to make this like into a job or into like some sort of like, you know, mix of like hobby and income. Like it's not gonna happen. I am not leaving my full-time job to find myself streaming full-time. This kind of VTuber Uber, like, you know, ain't happening. I'm doing this for the love of the game, basically, or the love of all the games that I, you know, get to go through and play and have people experience like me going through the games, where more often than not, I'm going through it for the first time.
I just enjoy going through games that, you know, because it feels like, you know, back in the good old days when you're sitting there with friends, you know, just sort of piss farting around and playing video games. That's sort of why I do the streaming.
Yeah, no. So yeah, my stream aim sort of thing is like, you know, it would be fun having like, you know, just piss farting around with friends and such. There's this one streaming channel. I honestly envy like some of these streaming aiming channels where it's like BFG streams, or sorry, BFG gaming, or no, BFG streams, and then there's like another one where it's like Glop streams or something like that. Like there are streamers out there where it's not a singular person streaming. It is actually like an ensemble of people that will play into it. So BFG game streams, for instance, will have like at least 2 people playing in the stream normally, and like their roster, there's like 8 or so people that could potentially be in the stream, and there's usually at least 2. Glop has like 2 people, so it kind of runs like, you know, sort of a game grumps, but instead it has like, you know, 2 ladies playing. I'm pretty sure they're ladies. I don't want to accidentally like misgender them or something like that. I don't want to make that mistake. But point is
individuals.
Yeah, they're like, point is like there are streams out there where it's like, you know, multiple people like sort of playing at the same time, which I always think is pretty good. But by God, would it be like a pain and a half trying to do coordination in that regards? Like even me and Code, we have done, like you and I, we've done like a lot of collaborative streams. Hi there, Angel. Welcome.
Yeah, and a lot of time it takes a fair amount of like, you know,
planning and commitment.
Yeah, exactly.
And what's more is like it comes in with a case of like, because more often than not, like you are altering your schedule to coincide with mine, where it's like I'm trying to start as early as possible, so then that way I get some of the Australians that are, you know, finishing with their day of work, and the middle of the day for the Europeans. It's an absolutely terrible time for the Americans, despite, you know, 50% of my viewers sometimes being Americans. Holy shit, Americans. It is about, what time is it over in the other side? It is like 5 a.m. close to Texas. Like some of them are like, you know, going to sleep or only just now waking up. Whereas with you, Code, you go off, because you have a different work schedule to I do, so you go off in the evenings, don't you?
Yeah, normally, like, because I work night shifts, I'm normally like asleep during the day. So I normally will probably stream a little bit later on. I am trying to do at least one, like, mid-afternoon, like 2 p.m., 1 p.m. Stream a week if I can.
Something in the middle of the day.
Yeah, a lot of the, just so as that people can get a chance to catch me.
Yep.
But, big yawn, sorry.
All good, all good. It's a sleepy hour. We're finally getting into 8 p.m. like in the next few minutes.
I know, like, and we're both at 8 p.m. now. It's not like one of us is 8 p.m., one of us is 7 p.m.
Yep. Time zones and what have you.
Code streams are very good at getting the energy up to finish uni assignments. Oh, thank you, Snap.
That's cool.
That's nice of you.
That's some high praise there. Awesome.
And I do hope your assignments are going well too.
Yeah. Hopefully they are.
Yeah, it's always nice when you're able to get assignments done. Me, I could never get any of my assignments done at school. I was that type of person that was like, why do I need to do this? Why do I care? Hello?
Yeah, I actually managed to finish it within an hour the other night. Oh, fuck yeah, that's awesome.
Nice.
So yeah, Also, where did my
Yeah, but
Xbox
yeah.
Series X?
So yeah, like because Grant and I are actually trying to plan to do a Diablo stream soon.
Yes, because like I'll be frank with you, like you and I, like I feel like we've done collaborative streams on, like we've done the Split Fiction, we've done Titan Quest, we've done Titan Quest 2 as well, like a little bit, but like because you know early access nonsense, and I feel like you
we've
know
done
RPGs
Baldur's
and
Gate.
yeah, Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate was a big one. Also, what in the shit? Why do I have the deployment image servicing and management tool running right now? I told it to install Diablo plus Hellfire. Like I've got like multiple things installing at the same time.
Yeah.
I think
So,
I might have
actually,
done some fuckery.
I just actually there is something I found out regarding that too when it comes to doing multiplayer that we'll need to talk about.
Oh.
Because the only way to do the online through BlizzNet for Diablo 1 is to use the BlizzNet version that keeps the original graphics ratio. Which is going to be a problem. So if we want to use the like high resolution support, we need to download something called Devolution, something like that, which helps set up games for it.
You'll need to send me a link and such like that. So yeah, because I've got the one in GOG. Where I don't think it
which is
has...
the same one I've got.
Yeah, so... Because I don't think this has any, like, crazy upscaling. It just has battle.net multiplayer requires you to configure the router and firewall ports. Details can be found here. I'll update you later.
Yeah, because you can do video settings, which enables you to do...
Oh, it's got GOG
display,
mods. So it's got, like...
Yeah.
So it's got the Beelzebub mod and some... Oh, here it is. Devolution X. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, okay, where did you find that? Because
So if you go to the... If you actually go to the store page for Diablo Hellfire, so if you're, like, looking at your games and you, like, right-click and you go... So if you, like...
Okay, looking at the games, installed.
So if you click on, like, the little,
right-click.
like, two, like, plugs... like, it's like the two, like, slider things in the top right, and you go to View and Store... Yep. You can then, like, obviously, you just scroll down, and then there should be a section that says GOG mods. And it will show you, like, two. So there's two. There's, like, the Diablo 1 HD mod for Beelzebub.
So that, the De-Evolution X is what you want to be able to play online. So I'm going to need to download that and install that.
Modern enhancement and port of the classic Diablo and Hellfire games designed to bring the original experience to today's systems while adding a wealth of improvements and hot and quality of life features. This modification preserves the core gameplay that made Diablo a legend while introducing widescreen and high resolution support, hundreds of bugs fixes, interface improvements, and subtle game tweaks. Unlike the original, all quests are fully playable in multiplayer, ensuring cooperative adventure lets you experience the complete story with friends. So, fully support port of Diablo and the Hellfire expansions. High resolution and widescreen
runs
displays.
On Windows, Linux, and Macs. Good. So that's great. That means Velt can join us.
Ooh, that's nice. Cross-platform multiplayer for LAN and online play. All quests fully available in multiplayer. Hundreds of bugs fixes. Engine improvements for more stable, polished gameplay. Optional quality of life and... Okay, cool. So the quality of life stuff is optional. Because I'll be frank with you, like, the only thing I use GOG for is Fallout London. Yeah, GOG, honestly, is, like, kind of cracked. Like, I know, like...
I would recommend using it for anyone that wants older games, honestly.
I recommended it as well. Because here's the thing. Quite frankly, like, Code knows this. Some of the viewers might know this. But for those of you that are watching me fresh... I do not subscribe to, you know, the gamers being like, oh my god, like, Steam is so amazing. How the fuck does Gabe do it? He does nothing and he's winning. The competition is inept. Like, I don't subscribe to that, okay? Because quite frankly, in this market, that does not happen by accident, okay? Just because it is a great option doesn't mean that, like, you know, you should just be, like, applauding the company and being like, man, the other guys are shitters. It's like, no, you're going to need to call out Steam on some stuff when it happens, all right? They are responsible for the microtransactions. They are responsible for the for the like battle pass. They are responsible for or price fixing. They are responsible for not bothering to do proper region pricing and for doing alterations of pricing based off region. They are not letting you be able to have your library get like, you know, properly like get like shared and what have you. Like there is a lot of things that Steam is doing, all right? And what's more is, as always, any game you have on Steam, you don't actually own. There will come a day where the game will go away and Steam, in all of their right, can just take it from you. That copy of Borderlands 2 you got for free one day can be gone. Gears of War, gone. Half-Life, gone. Half-Life Episode 2, gone. Like, any of them can be gone. And I know someone in, like, long ago was like, oh, but that's okay, because Steam has, like, a kill pill where they can remove the DRM when, you know, the inevitability of, like, Steam going away. And I'm gonna be frank with you, that sounds like a fantasy. Like, because number one, like, Steam's not going away, all right? And number two, if there's a kill pill out there to like get rid of DRM on like Steam games and shit, that fucker would have been found at this point, and you would have had like a fucking run on the bank of all these Steam games losing their DRM, in which case no one would have wanted to go onto Steam if they were like a publisher or developer.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
So,
for sure.
And if like,
that it's also the main reason I also am a huge supporter of like GOG is they are actively trying to preserve older games.
Yes. Something else I hate about Steam, if you make any sort of error with your email or you fuck up your Steam ID, you can get permaban from Steam game chats like TF2, which is just awful, speaking from experience. Yeah, like Steam is not perfect. I understand competition is not that great, but I'm gonna be frank with you, some people look to Steam with some very rose-tinted glasses. Some people are like, you know, putting shit... Like, I understand some people have their problems with Epic Games, and that there are cases where, like, you know, like, even when someone gets a free game on Epic Games, that game itself gets a boost on Steam, because some people are like, oh, but I want the game on Steam for my achievements. Like, I get that. But quite frankly, you should not be getting all your games in one basket because of the potential... Like, because let's play out this hypothetical of Steam... Like, maybe one day Gabe Newell decides to be a real dick and introduces like a Steam rental system where no longer do you get games like for infinitely forever rental, but instead it's like, oh, for a cheaper price, you can get a game for 30 days or 7 days for $7 or something like that. And then lo and behold, many of the free games no longer happen. Or, you know, maybe Gabe Newell, you know, buys way too many yachts and then he sells off Valve and people have these fears. Or worse yet, the actual, like, you know, too big to fail scenario of Steam is gone. Like, if these things happen, like, you don't want to have all your eggs in one basket. And you can't sell back your Steam games. Like, sure, people are selling their Steam accounts and what have you, but like that is still reliant on you going on to Steam and such. There is no way to get out of Steam. The only way you can get out of Steam is if, you know, somehow you exchange all of your keys and all that kind of such into your Steam wallet to then buy physical hardware from Steam and then sell the physical hardware in the aftermarket. Epic Games' main problem is the launcher was straight up malware for the longest time. If you install it and you just didn't like it, it would corrupt your PC and force you to reset it entirely. Again, speaking from experience. Yeah, I have seen, like, I have seen experience from friends where they're like, you know, Epic just does not want to function for them. Like, it fails to do purchases. I know there are some people that are really annoyed that you couldn't gift games on Epic Games. Like, these things exist. Like, I understand they happen, but quite frankly, like, some of the people that were griping of like, oh, what do you mean I can't chat with my friends on Epic Games? Why? We have Discord. We have like chat systems within other games as well. This is like, you're complaining for complaint's sake. Like, Epic Games does what 90% of Steam does. It does what it needs to do. It has a digital storefront for you to go to for your video games. And quite frankly, the reason why Epic Game Store started up was so then that way there was a portal for Fortnite, and for, you know, updates to go off and such. You know how Steam started? They wanted to release Counter-Strike, but they wanted to make it so that Counter-Strike could get constant updates and such, and so you had to install Steam. I was there in the 1990s when Steam didn't have a cool looking UI. It was that disgusting camo green with piss yellow kind of accents. I was there for all the weirdness of Steam. The Steam you get today has not come right at the box as it is, okay? That return policy came because of the ACCC doing the actual work and getting up against Steam and saying, hey, you shouldn't be having this kind of no return policy if you want to be operating in Australia. You need to have a you know, fleshed out warranty if you want to operate with Australians in your marketplace. If not, get fined, motherfuckers. Which is why, like, this is probably going to be, you know, I don't want Pistachio Ashley, then why did you ask for it? Yeah, exactly. Like, I can't imagine why this hasn't happened yet, but we're into the second wave of like the whole age restriction nonsense in Australia and what have you. And I think, you know, the UK is going through this kind of thing as well, where they're trying to put restrictions on, you know, pornographic material, adult rated material, and, you know, being able to purchase adult rated stuff. Steam still does not ask for your, like, it doesn't hold your age. It never has. Every time you go to a website, they're like, "Oh, please give us your age." They do this over and over and over again when you're browsing on Google and on like Google or Edge or whatever your browser is and such. So far, I have not seen any kind of age verification being done by Steam. And Steam is operating in countries where they're applying age verification, like, you know, restrictions and what have you. There is going to come a time, and I don't know if Steam is bothering to like have the fight in the courts or something like that, like Pornhub was trying to do, but, you know, evidently failing because Pornhub once again just plays the classic card game of, oh, you're restricting me? Nah, I won't operate in your place at all. Like, that's what the people who are trying to restrict your content want to do, is not have you operate here. Any whoosies. I imagine there's going to come a point where Steam is going to need to do ID verification if they're going to continue selling, you know, heavily, you know, adult-like games. There are hentai games. There are porn games on Steam. And the only thing stopping you is just the drop-down of like, you know, day, month, year. And that information is not kept on your Steam account every time you browse. Like, Steam, what are you doing? Are you doing, like, crazy work in the background? I'm very sorry I'm the only one chatting. I hope I'm not talking too much. No, you're fine. Fine, Silver.
You're all good, Silver.
You're
It's good to have people actually, you know,
chatting.
What's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, chatting.
Yeah, in like, you
adding
know,
to the
interacting
conversation.
Exactly. So, because otherwise, like, I will just be on like, you know, a crazy, you know, hour-long rant and such, and then I'll have people being like, "Ugh, I don't like the takes that the zebra has. What do you mean that he? What do you mean he's gonna, you know, predict that, you know, age verification is coming to Steam? Isn't he gonna be with the rest of the crowd where Steam can't do no wrong and Steam is actually winning in all their battles despite not doing anything? Like, no, I don't subscribe to that. You have to have the critical thinking. Where is Steam gonna go? Only an hour-long rant?
I mean, don't push him. He can try. He'll do it.
But yeah, I won't go too far into it and such like that because, like, I need to, like, sort of collect my thoughts about it and such like that because Australia has recently gone through, like, their little reporting as well about how the age verification, like, restrictions have been going. And apparently, like, we still have, like, a third of teenagers operating on some of these platforms and not having dealt with, like, age verification barriers. So there's some people that are arguing that it's not working, which is kind of tragic, let's be frank.
Yeah, it is, unfortunately.
So, like, because here's the thing, is that, like, as much as I am bothered by, you know, Twitter being like, hey, you want to look at this adult material? Please give us a selfie and an ID. As much as I hate that, I would much rather we get something rather than burying our heads in the sand and pretending that we don't need to do this. Because quite frankly, we did. Quite frankly, because of the age of the internet, we're no longer websites just filled with catalogs and browsing. We are the age of the internet where people are buying their livelihood. They are selling their livelihood. You can exist independently thanks to the internet. You don't have to go outside. You can buy a home from the internet. You can buy your groceries. You can go dating. You can work from the internet. You can be fully remote. if you could be on one of those fucking random islands in Ireland that cost nothing with like a SpaceX like satellite beaming back and forth your internet connection, and you would have no contact with humanity. But if you had the internet, you had everything.
Yeah.
Why would I buy my groceries on the internet? Because you don't want to go outside, or maybe because you're disabled and you are incapable of going to the grocery store yourself, and you don't have a carer who can do the grocery shopping for you. There's like, the internet is a wonderful place where it has done more connectivity and more accessibility than you can imagine, but it has come at the cost where we have had the worst possible people able to get connected in a fashion that you would never have imagined before, okay? Like, you can't just accept that, oh, it's fine that we got people that can send boys down the alt-right pipeline or turn them into rapists and pedophilia and shit like that. Like, you can't just accept that for, you know, DoorDash being cheap. Like, we need, like, there needs to be change. There needs to be barriers. And sure, it might hurt. It might be annoying that we have to provide an ID to some sort of like regulatory body in order to prove that we are mature and of age to be on the internet. But guess what? We have a regulatory body for our credit cards and how financial transactions go on the internet. Is it scary that your bank details are known to more than just Amazon? Yes, it is, but that's why we have credit card verification. That's why Australia has private information, or PII, like compliance sake, where it's like you can't just ask for everyone's pieces of information. If you ask for any piece of information, you have to be telling us why you need that information. You can't just ask for someone's home address just because you want to know where they live. You ask for their home address because you want to deliver something to them, or because you want to do a confirmation on the driver license ID, but you can't hold on to their personal ID for the verification purposes. That needs to be deleted afterwards once you've proven verification. Like,
and that's, I think, where the problem lies, is the fact that lately it's been shown that the deletion of these things have not been proper.
Yeah. Like,
and that's where people are starting to get the problem of, you know, that's why I don't want to do it, because lately it's been shown that my, especially like, certain companies have not been deleting them and have been actually keeping them on a database for a good long while, and now that information is in the hands of other people.
Yeah, no, it's like, it's absolutely tragic. And the easiest reason as to why this is a problem is because none of that was under compliance. Like, we are more pedantic, like, because of banks being, and advocacies for banks being so fucking pedantic with the internet and shit like that, we have all this kind of regulatory body and all these kinds of fines associated for when a credit card gets breached. And you might be thinking, oh no, like, that's only in the occasion where my credit card is now publicly available on this, Tor website. No, you know what's constituted as a breach if your credit card information is revealed? Like, this is quantified as a breach. The credit card details are kept by the company and are viewable by a member of the company that is not needing to do, anti-fraud or money laundering checks. So, like, for example, with the place that I work in, I don't have to see people's credit cards or anything like that. But if there's an email that's going out to people and I was CC'd on it and I see someone's credit card information, that's a breach. And if anyone in auditing, like, because you get audited by internal and external people, if they catch wind that a credit card detail was sent to someone that was not part of the financial department or the anti-fraud department, oh, that is a huge fine. Sure, it didn't leave the company. It, like, went to me, a person in desktop support, but that's quantified as a breach. That's what we need in ID verification and such. We need the government or, some sort of advocacy group, instead of, banging on the door being like, I don't want my ID, let me be a hermit on the internet. Instead of being that, be like, hey, what guarantees do I have that my ID won't get leaked by, like, someone that is having like, domestic abuse to me? Like where is the where's the risk? Where is the scrutiny that credit cards and banking information have on my ID?
Yeah.
That's what should be advocating for.
Yeah. I just sent you a thing, Grant. They've finally launched a trailer for the official Summons teaser trailer.
Ah, for Titan
Titan
Quest
Quest
2.
2. Yeah,
Nice,
Titan Quest.
nice.
So there's some really interesting ones here. So
Hmm.
they finally gave us a look at the Core Dweller, the Automaton, the Wisps, and the banner for the Warfare class. So it looks like each of them are going to get a summons.
Okay.
And by the looks of it, the summons work. So you'll have to have a spare amount of mana to keep the summon active, but you don't have to actively select it and cast it.
Ooh, that's cool. That's good.
Which was something which is a big sort of improvement. And it looks like, yeah, like the Core Dweller and everything like that, they're going to have their own special abilities to work with too.
Nice. That's awesome. So, oh my god, Z's, we're getting a Gravekeeper 2 on Steam. Oh, that's why the first Gravekeeper is free. Cookie for silver. Here's your cookie. Cookie gone. So yeah. I think I'm gonna call it here, actually. Like, it's past 8 o'clock, and I kind of want to bust a pee and such like that, and, you know, I honestly like just chatting with you and what have you, Code, so we can definitely do more of that, and probably...
Oh yeah, love to.
So,
and now that we've figured out that whole thing with Diablo 2, with Diablo, we should probably give it a test run soon to make sure we can get it up and running.
That
and then work out a day for streaming.
Yep. That would actually honestly be good, because I can probably, like, you know, slot that in for, because quite frankly, like, it only takes me like 2 streams, like not even a third stream to get through a Gears of War game, so I could probably get away with, you know, I make like a Monday, Wednesday stream for Gears of War, and I go a little bit longer than 4 hours on like the Monday or the Wednesday, and then we do like a Thursday or Friday with Diablo or something like that. At more
So
in your, like, in your time slot.
So I work every second Friday. So like we can do it maybe like, you know, every second Friday to do Diablo.
Okay.
That way, you know everyone gets to do their own thing still. The next few weeks are going to be a little bit hard because I picked up quite a few extra shifts. But maybe like in the next 3 weeks we can look into getting it done.
Okay. Fair enough.
Because that gives us plenty of time to test the game. You know, make sure that we can get you, me, and Velk together in the same room to get it all sorted. For what times, you know, how long, those sorts of.
Yeah. Okay.
Have a sit down and have it organized.
Will do. Excuse me.
So I think that's the best way to do it. Other than just like, you know, hey, next week let's just jump straight into it.
Fair enough.
Sort of thing.
All right. You know what? We're gonna go raid into someone completely random. We're going into someone called Psyche Celestite. Are they? Oh my god, they've been streaming for 8 hours. That's crazy. Are they raiding out?
Damn.
No, they are.
Oh, they might be raiding.
They are not raiding out. Cool. Awesome. All right. Let's go. So we're gonna go with the, you know, the classic raid message. We're gonna go for the long raid message. We're gonna go for Himbo Raid. Show us your cutest guys, gals, and non-binary pals, or prepare to get swole. So that's our raid message. If you are not subscribed, that's okay. You're welcome to use whatever other kinds of emojis that you want for the Himbo Raid, whatever you think is appropriate. So yeah, I will be back online. There's word of collaboration plans and such like that I need to double check on, but guaranteed Sunday morning I will be back online for some Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. Code, you should definitely get Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. It's like normally $10 on like, you know, Switch online store. But thank you so much.
I will have a look and see if I can pick it up soon.
Company during the end of the stream. I greatly appreciate it.
You're always welcome to come on. I'm always happy to come on by and say howdy doody.
Howdy doody. So yeah, when do you think you'll be streaming next, Code?
Tonight at 9 o'clock.
Oh, god damn it. I'm so sorry.
That's all right. You've got to do what you've got to do.
Alrighty then.
We're going to be doing the rest of Darksiders tonight, and then tomorrow we're going to do some more Fallout New Vegas.
The glitchy Fallout game. Alrighty. We'll see how you go.
Well, I got the GOG copy, which I think is meant to be a little bit more stable.
Yeah, because it will hopefully so. But yeah. For everyone else, I want to say thank you who came along to tonight's stream. I greatly appreciate it. I'm glad we got done with Gears of War 3. I hope you all have a good morning, afternoon, evening, night, wherever you are. And if I don't see you when we raid out, I hopefully will see you all next time. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.